This is AK reminding you to, yo, subscribe to the show. Yesterday, another major domino fell in the recruiting world. This time it's in the class of 2023, where my #1 player at this position was off the board, and I must congratulate the University of Oklahoma Sooners for landing wide receiver from Langdon Creek, Jaquaize Pettaway, who's nationally recognized as a fringe 4-star player, but is most definitely a top 50 player overall. Some composite places have him a 5-star, and other composite sites have him rated a 4-star. 247 Sports is going to be the composite that I use. I believe they are #1 in the industry and overall, and they have him nationally rated as a 34th best player overall, the 4th best wide receiver, and the 4th best player in the great state of Texas. Welcome to the program, folks. Eyes on Texas channel, and I have had my eyes on this young man for quite some time, as he was on the big board, the major top prospect at the wide receiver position for my university of choice, the Texas Longhorns, for quite some time. But yesterday it came down to Ole Miss out of the SEC, the University of Texas out of the Big 12, but ultimately landing another rival in the Big 12 at the University of Oklahoma Sooners, as Jaquaize Pettaway is now a Sooner. And what does he bring to the field? I'm going to go into what he is overall as a player. Is speed, and his speed 100% does apply on the football field. But in addition to Jaquaize Pettaway, let's go ahead and check out the Oklahoma Sooners commitment list. As I did say, I use 247 Sports. Up on the list, leading the way from Denton Guyer, of course, is going to be Jackson Arnold, the 5-star quarterback commit. Boom, there is Jaquaize Pettaway. Another offensive player, Caleb Hicks. Another wide receiver, explosive player, big-bodied player, 6'3", 188 pounds, and Kenyon Brown. An interior lineman, Joshua Bates, someone else who I had my eye on as well. Mr. All-Around athlete, Eric McCartney, who was, I do believe, going to play running back as well. And rounding out, we have another athlete and another prospect at the safety position. But the University of Oklahoma currently has their commit list. I believe they are 25th overall nationally on the composite rank, and doing quite good after landing the University of, after landing Jaquaize Pettaway coming out of Langdon Creek. Let's go ahead and check him out as a player. He is an absolute beast on the field, a monster between the hash marks here. You can play the young man in the slot. You can play him split out on an island, one-on-one. His speed 100% translate onto the field. He can beat the corners one-on-one on the island, has the shiftiness to go ahead and overall beat the corners in the slot. And with that 10.5 speed, look at it, translates on the field as he goes by easily into this seam route, goes in for the touchdown, makes the grab. Boom! Jaquaize Pettaway, an absolute beast and a dog on the field, and that's going to be the reason why I do have him #1 overall. The other wide receivers, Jalen Hale, an absolute beast. We are going to have John Tay Cook II, another player at the position, another commit at the University of Texas Longhorns. But as a wide receiver for his Mr. Go-Get-It and a dog and charisma on the football field, Jaquaize Pettaway is going to be my guy. You can see here he is beating his guy here on the flag route. Absolutely amazing here. Coming out in the slot, highlighted here, Jaquaize Pettaway. Let's go ahead and talk about his stats. I did also speak about Jaquaize Pettaway being a fine track star in his own right, as we go ahead and talk about his highlights here, as he has posted 3 sub 10.500 meters as a junior, including 10.41, 10.43, and 10.47. And the Rockets red glare also ran times of 10.6 and 10.78 and 10.82, and almost double digit sub 22 100 meters, recorded a 20.80 200 personal record along his 21.41, 21.43, and 21.46. He did also run a 10.55 and a 100 as a sophomore, long jumping 21.5 and tripled 43.0 as a freshman. Was Texas District First Team All-American as a junior, Texas District 16-6A Offensive Newcomer of the Year as a sophomore. And when I did tell you that I did have him ranked high on the other list of other wide receivers, I had him ranked #1, but let's go ahead and look at the list overall, as the University of Southern Cal commit Mr. Branch is ranked number 1. Mr. Brandon Ennis, also coming out of the great state of California. Back-to-back Ohio State commits you can see here by Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate. Julian Brown still up in the air. I think he's going to end up in this home state of Florida. They are going for the Miami. Sheldon Sampson Jr. We have Jonte Cook also rounding out before we get Jaquaize Pettaway, as you can nationally see, the newly committed wide receiver for the University of Oklahoma. Noah Rogers rounding out the triple threat of the University of Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes getting a three-peat there. And DeAndre Moore Jr., another prospect that I had on my highlight list, that I had high on my board of wide receiver prospects, rounds out the top 10. And as you can see, Mr. Jalen Hare from Longview, Texas, the Beast, Texas wide receiver, big-bodied player, 6'2", 175 pounds. But what's going to be the reason for this player interested in the University of Oklahoma? I believe personally, as it's going to come down to Brent Venables being the newly appointed hard-nosed head coach there, mainly known as a defensive players coach, really, and Jeff Lebby, who's a up-and-comer rising star in the offensive coordinator world. He did come from Ole Miss, and that's where probably the interested lie for the Rebels in Jaquaize Pettaway, and the reason why they're probably in his top 3. But ultimately, the reason why he did win out is, I believe, is the offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, as he is a rising star, and the fact that Jonte Cook and others did commit to the University of Texas, and as that wide receiver room is quite filling up, and Mr. Pettaway does want to be 1A alpha dog wide receiver and not have 2 in there with him. So with Jonte Cook and Ryan Niblett also being in the University of Texas wide receiver commit list, already having a good wide receiver commit list, and Brennan Thompson, a speedster as well, just like Jaquaize Pettaway, is going to be the reason why he ultimately did choose the University of Oklahoma. But the Sooners, absolutely congratulations to them, as they got a monster in the recruiting world, as they are nationally ranked 25th overall in the composite rankings in the class of 2023 recruitings. I must again congratulate them for Jaquaize Pettaway, the newest commitment, the newest Sooner. With that being said, what are your thoughts on this player? Where do you have him ranked? As I did say, he was number 1 overall, but he was number 1 overall probably because I did check him out the most. I did check out a lot of his highlights. Didn't see much of Mr. Brennan Enos, to be quite honest with you. I didn't see other top ones. Carnell Tate, didn't quite check out a lot of his film. I did see a lot of Mr. Rico Flores. I did check him out a lot. Mr. Jaden Greathouse, coming out of Austin Westlake, a big-bodied wide receiver prospect who was the offensive player of the year. Offensive player of the state championship game. But Jaquaize Pettaway to the Oklahoma Sooners, congratulations to them. It's going to go ahead and finish up this video. Everybody keep your head in the swivel, your eyes on Texas. Thank you very much. This is AK reminding you to, yo, subscribe to the show.